This is an NBC News special report. Here's Tom Llamas.
And good afternoon. We are coming on the air with breaking news right now out of Florida, where authorities are about to update on that shooting that took place earlier today on Florida State University's campus in Tallahassee. At this hour, NBC News has confirmed at least one person is dead and another is in custody, and at least 6 people are receiving treatment at Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare. The FBI is also responding to the scene along with state and local officials. Authorities say the student union is where this happened and that area around it are still very much active crime scenes. There is a news conference that is set to take place right now. We are watching and monitoring this. As soon as that news conference starts, we're going to take it, and here it is.
My name is Jason Trumbauer, and I'm the Chief of Police at Florida State University. All Florida State University classes and business operations on the main campus in Tallahassee are canceled through Friday, April 18th. Essential employees should check with their supervisors for further reporting instructions. All FSU athletic events in Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. At approximately 11:50 a.m. Thursday, April 17th, a gunman opened fire on the main campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee, shooting multiple individuals in the vicinity of the Student Union building. FSU police responded immediately, engaged, neutralized, and apprehended the shooter. 2 victims of deceased are deceased, and 5 individuals have been transported to a local hospital with gunshot wounds. The shooter has also been transported to a local hospital. The 2 deceased are not students. The shooter is believed to be a current FSU student. I do not have additional information on the shooter's identity at this time. Students who need assistance can go to the Donald L. Tucker Center, where the university is providing counseling, health care, and other support services. Family members are also able to go to the Tucker Center for assistance. Students, faculty, and staff are asked to call their loved ones as soon as possible to update them on their status. The student union and the surrounding area is still considered an active crime scene. Individuals should avoid the area. Students should not return to the student union to retrieve personal property at this time. Students may return to their residence halls, but they should otherwise stay indoors on main campus to allow first responders and university staff to do their jobs and respond to those needing assistance. Students may depart campus for the weekend. All classes have been canceled through Friday. Before I turn this over to Chief Revel, I want to thank all the brave men and women of the FSU PD for responding immediately to the scene. I also want to thank the responding agencies who have provided assistance to FSU today big time, including the Tallahassee Police Department, the Leon County Sheriff's Office, the Florida Highway Patrol, Leon County Emergency Medical Services, FDLE, and all other responding agencies today. We really appreciate your support. That's all the information I have at this time. We'll have additional update for you later today. Chief Revel.
Good afternoon. I am Chief Revel with the Tallahassee Police Department. As the shooting occurred today, our officers, as well as every single other officer in this city and county, responded immediately to this scene. Once on scene and once we began working through what was occurring and what we were working in consultation with FSU, Tallahassee Police Department was asked to take lead on this. So we will be the lead for this investigation, and both the officer involved shooting portion of this as well as the homicide portion of this. I will come up after the last speaker and entertain just a few questions, but needless to say, we have multiple crime scenes. This is a very large area we're covering. We have thousands, hundreds or thousands of witnesses. And again, this is an active, ongoing investigation. So the information that we will be allowed to release right now may be fairly limited. I'll answer what I can at that time. But I will assure you that as soon as we can, any information that becomes available, we will make that available to you. One of the things in the process, and again, understand that this is an ongoing active investigation. So things are happening as we are standing here and as we are speaking. We have identified the shooter, obviously. He's at the hospital. So With more on that, I'm going to allow the sheriff to come up and speak on that portion of it.
Thank you, Chief. As Chief Revel indicated, I'm Walt McNeil, Leon County Sheriff. First and foremost, let me express our gratitude to the responding law enforcement agencies in this community. Our citizens should feel some degree of comfort knowing that your law enforcement agencies are going to respond and do exactly what we did in this case, that is bring the offender to justice and to make sure that we do what we can to make sure we lock him or her up. Let me say to you, this is obviously a heinous crime. Our deepest condolences go out to the FSU family, the families of the students who are here, and we understand that you all have been devastated because of this person's actions. The question as it relates to who is the shooter is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, and he's the son of a Leon County Sheriff deputy. Our Deputy Eichner has been with the Leon County Sheriff's Office for over 18 years. She has a tremendous job that she's done. Her service to this community has been exceptional. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. And we are continuing that investigation into how that weapon was used and what other weapons perhaps he may have had access to. The alleged shooter was also a long-standing member of the Leon County Sheriff's Office Citizen Advisory or Youth Advisory Council. So he has been steeped in the Leon County Sheriff's Office family, engaged in a number of training programs that we have. So it's not a surprise to us that he had access to weapons. This event is tragic in more ways than you people in the audience could ever fathom from a law enforcement perspective. But I will tell you this, we will make sure that we do everything we can to prosecute and make sure that we send a message to folks that this will never be tolerated here in Leon County, and I dare say across this state and across this nation. Thank you. Let me bring up the FBI Assistant Special Agent in charge, Hubert Reynolds.
Good afternoon. My name is Hubert Reynolds, and I'm the Acting Special Agent in charge of the Jacksonville Field Office. I want to echo those standing with me what a horrific crime this is, and we stand with you fully. We have an office here in Tallahassee, and we are fully engaged with providing any resources that we can bring to bear to help with this investigation moving forward. We've established a digital tips media line where you can upload photos, videos prior to and during the incident. If you were there from social media, please upload all of that. I will give you now the website address. You can upload any tips to www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. Again, that's www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. I want to assure you that we are going to bring every available resource to be able to help the community and the local people here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Richard McCullough, Rick McCullough, the president of Florida State University. This is a tragic day for Florida State University. We're absolutely heartbroken by the violence that occurred on our campus earlier today. 2 have died. 5 other innocents are being treated for their injuries. We're working to support the victims, their families, and everyone affected by this traumatic event. I just returned from the hospital where the First Lady and I met some of our students who are the victims. Our hearts go out to our students and the victims of this terrible tragedy. I have to say that our law enforcement, our FSU police officers are absolute heroes in this regard. The call went out, someone called it in, and immediately they responded to the scene and immediately neutralized the suspect and prevented this from being a bigger tragedy. I want to thank them so much for what they do to try to keep our students safe. I want to thank all the law enforcement partners, FSU Police, Tallahassee Police, Leon County Sheriff's Department, Florida Highway Patrol, and the Florida Department Law Enforcement, and all other responding agencies for their rapid and courageous response. I want to thank everybody that came out to visit with the students and to help us and to be here today for this press conference. And I appreciate so much the support that you're all providing to our university and to our students. We're fully cooperating with the investigation, and we defer to law enforcement as they continue their work. I'd also like to thank all the healthcare providers at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. They're treating and providing outstanding care to our victims. Right now, our top priority is safety and well-being for all the people and our campus. As it was said, classes are canceled on the main campus today and tomorrow, and all FSU athletics events on Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. We also want to tell you that counseling and psychological services are available to students, faculty, and staff, and anyone that needs that should call 850-644-2003. We're also providing support for faculty and staff through our Employment Assistance Program. And so if you need any help, please reach out. We'll continue to communicate with the campus community as we know more. This is a deeply emotional time, but we're all here to support each other. We're going to do everything we can to support our community. We're a strong and united community, and we're family. And so we'll take care of all of you. And we'll get through this together. Thank you.
All right, at this time, we will take a few questions. Let me just reiterate, this was a massive response, a massive response of law enforcement personnel. Our federal, state, local partners have continued to build relationships that long preceded this event. And that came into great play today in the seamless way that we all came together to work these events. But I know you'll have some specific questions. I will tell you right now, we are not going to talk about the victims, other than the fact that there are 6 of them, two additional deceased, and then the suspect. So 9 total persons. 9 total persons. Yes, sir.
Have you all been able to talk to the suspect at all? Any idea about motive?
The suspect invoked his rights not to speak to us.
Chief, do we know if the weapon that was used was his parents' service weapon? And if so, what are the rules around storing service weapons in the house?
No, that's a good question. This weapon was a weapon that the deputy previously used. A lot of times, many agencies, mine included, when we transition to a new handgun, the officers are allowed to purchase the handgun they used prior. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sheriff, but I believe that's the case here. This was a handgun that deputy used prior to them transitioning to a new handgun, and so it was her personal handgun.
Is she been put on leave or suspended?
The sheriff would have to speak to that.
We will do a thorough investigation to look at all aspects of it. There's no cause right now that we're aware of that require her to be placed on any kind of suspension or otherwise.
Yes, ma'am.
We've been hearing stuff that it was a deputy who was a school resource officer. Is that true?
That is correct.
Chief, those injured, those killed, are any of those members of law enforcement?
I'm sorry?
Anyone who died in the shooting or was injured in the shooting, were any of them members of law enforcement, whether it be the
No, they were not.
sheriff's office?
They were not. Yes, sir.
When law enforcement arrived, did the suspect engage with them, or did he surrender immediately, or can you speak to that?
No, they challenged him and ended up shooting. He did not comply with commands and was shot.
Did he fire officers?
I do not believe he fired at officers.
We've heard that Phoenix may be autistic. Are you able to confirm that detail?
I do not have that detail.
Is there an ID of the victims yet?
I'm sorry?
An ID of the victims?
We're not releasing any of the victim information at this time.
Was the officer aware of any behavioral conditions or concerns or threats prior to this incident?
We were not.
How quickly did officers arrive on scene from the 911 call to when they engaged the suspect?
We will get you that information. I don't have that currently. I assume that would be a question that was asked, but I mean, it was almost immediately. That FSU, obviously this is their campus and they patrol it very well. So they were on scene almost immediately, engaged almost immediately. And then everyone else, again, was a massive, very quick response.
You said that the two deceased were not students. Do we know of those 5 that were injured, or any of them students?
Again, we're not releasing any information on the students on the victims at this point.
Specifically, what firearm did he use?
I'm sorry?
What kind of firearm was he using?
It was a handgun.
What kind of handgun?
I don't know what type of handgun that was. It was probably a 40. I don't know. Yeah.
Chief, I heard reported that a shotgun was also recovered on campus. Was that used in the shooting?
We do know that he had a shotgun with him. We have not confirmed anyone was shot with a shotgun at this point. But again, that could change as we, again, there are hundreds and hundreds of witnesses, and as we piece all of this back together, information will come to light that we may not have at this point. So I do not believe so at this point.
We'll take one more question.
Do we know
Will body cam footage, radio dispatch, or any logs be released in the near future?
I'm sorry, say again.
Will there be any body cam footage or radio dispatch logs or incident reports being released anytime soon?
We will work with the state attorney's office, which we always do, in pulling together all the information, all the investigative evidence from this case, and in collaboration with State Attorney Campbell, we will make that determination. Obviously, after the case is over, we will certainly, it all becomes available at that point. But as to what we can and will release at that point, like I said before, we're very open, transparent on these things. Again, the officers did an incredible job. But again, some of this is very horrific. This is a horrific incident. And so we will, again, collaborate with the state attorney's office and determine which of that evidence could be released or will not be released. But again, I will let you know that as soon as we make that determination. So thank you all very much. Appreciate you being here. And just let me reiterate what's already been said. The collaboration between all of the agencies, the federal, the state, the local, all of our first responders, our EMS personnel, our fire department, again, just a massive response, immediate treatment to the victims that were there, the transport of them, again, it was a very seamless response to this tragedy. And that goes to the training that we all do repeatedly, individually as agencies and together. The incident command came together very, very quickly. And again, I could not be more proud of the response and more horrified at the act. So thank you very much.
Can you please just real quick verify again one more time the number of people injured and dead? Or it was 8, I heard you say 9.
Sure, total number of 9, that includes the suspect. So there are 6 victims that are injured, 2 victims that are dead, and 1 suspect. And let me just reiterate this because I'm not sure we said this. We have no reason to believe at this point that he did not act alone. So there is no further threat to our community at this point. So thank you very much.
We've just been listening to the Tallahassee police chief there update the campus of FSU, really the public and the nation on this school shooting that's happened at Florida State University. I want to start with the news we've received on the victims. 2 people have died here in this school shooting. They were not students, but they were inside or around the student union when this active shooter started firing on the campus around 11:50 a.m. today. We understand there are 6 people injured that were rushed to the hospital. At least 5 of them have gunshot wounds. It is unclear if any of those are students, but it stands to reason that some of them may be. The president of the university alluded to speaking to students at the hospital who were injured. We also know that the shooter has been arrested. He has been apprehended. He's a 20-year-old who attends Florida State University. But the twist in this shooting, which makes this so hard for law enforcement there, Tallahassee sits in the county of Leon County. Now, there is a Leon County Sheriff's Office. Police are saying that the shooter is the son of one of those deputies. Not only the son, but he was someone who was active in the sheriff's department, working on the youth advisory board. On top of that, police are saying he actually used his mother, who is a deputy, used one of her weapons, a handgun that she was able to purchase from the department when she upgraded to a different weapon. So he actually used a firearm that was once used by the police department there to start his shooting rampage there on the campus of Florida State University. Police are saying they do not believe there are any more threats at this time. There were no other shooters at this time. He also had a shotgun on him as well. It is unclear his motive here. We do know he was a student there, that he was 20 years old, but police are saying right now he is not saying anything to authorities. He was shot by police when they took him down. He's also at the hospital. Tom Winter, who covers law enforcement for us, joins our coverage now live. Tom, the strange thing about this story, obviously, is the connection with the police department there. You have a young man who grew up in a police system. His mother was a deputy, a school resource officer as well, someone tasked to protect children in Leon County. And now we know he used one of his mom's weapons that she used to use as a cop to go and shoot up his campus.
Yeah, she's an 18-year veteran of that sheriff's office, and Walt McNeil delivering the information I think he probably never thought he would have to deliver as a sheriff. And so the information here is obviously, why did this individual do it? They're going to look at the ballistics. Apparently, they also recovered a shotgun, according to the police department there in Tallahassee. And so they're trying to determine, did this individual use the shotgun? Did they use a handgun? Was the handgun that was used, was that specifically belonging to his mom? And as you referenced, that was a weapon that would have been purchased when their department switched over to a different type of handgun. They also said that when they encountered him, they gave him a number of commands to comply. And so they asked him to do whatever they wanted to ask him to do, which is to drop the weapon, presumably, and to then take him into custody. He did not comply with that. They fired at him, and then he was transported to the hospital with a gunshot wound, and he's one of the individuals who's at the hospital at this time. We will assuredly get charges on him later today or first thing tomorrow. They'll arraign him. They can do that remotely, even if need be. And then obviously they'll want to figure out why this individual did this. But it's certainly horrifying details. For people that are asking at home, did this suspect fire at police? That's not something, once police know that he's already been shooting, they would have the ability there, potentially under law, to be able to immediately engage in gunfire. You're looking at their response there on campus. One thing about the response, Tom, that hit me, for students of this generation that have grown up in what they've grown up in all the various school shootings that we've had, they've responded the way you and I might have responded to a fire drill back when we were in school. You see a calm response, everybody going down the steps. These students of this college age, unfortunately, are so used to training for these active shooter episodes. And clearly the police response here, 11:50 a.m. approximately, the shooting happens. By noon, there's an alert campus-wide. We're getting alerts here on their own websites that there's a problem at Florida State University. So this happened very quickly. Yeah. And clearly it appears that this could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, and some of these images, you can see the chaos. Some of these images, you see the calm evacuation. I want to read, we have an interview with an eyewitness, and some of his details are chilling. They say they were in the class, and the first thing that happened, almost immediately, everyone popped up because it sounded like a giant Amber Alert on their phones. There was a shooting on campus. The entire class immediately all went into a corner. The teacher, they right here was civilized. They probably was calming people down. She goes to a corner. The door is locked. You can hear the police. It was definitely very nerve-wracking, lots of emotion in the room. I mean, you can't imagine. You're a college student. You're trying to get through your class, and you're hearing these gunshots, and you're hearing an active shooter on your campus. We've covered so many of these school shootings, unfortunately, and we have seen sort of this pattern emerge sometimes where these students are using guns, either their parents' guns or their parents helped them purchase the guns. But we haven't seen, that I can remember, a case like this where you had an active shooter who was connected to the police department so closely. His mom was a deputy and actually using a weapon that was once used for law enforcement to save lives.
Well, that's precisely right, Tom. And I was going back through all of these. I've covered these active and mass shooters since Virginia Tech, which was one of the worst ones, Sandy Hook. We have, to your point, Sandy Hook Elementary School, a great example of this, where the mother purchased the weapon for the shooter. In that case, we've seen that a number of times. But in this high profile of a shooting incident, and with this many victims, I cannot recall an incident where that person, where the shooter was directly connected to law enforcement. It may have used what was one time a law enforcement weapon to carry this out.
Yes, so many families connected to Florida State University. It's one of the largest universities in the state of Florida. Friends, family, all watching the news today. So far, we've learned 2 people have been killed in this shooting incident. We are told by police they are not students. But again, 2 people have died on campus in senseless violence once again. And you have about 6 people at the hospital right now, at least 5 of them being treated for gunshot wounds. Jim Kavanaugh is joining our live coverage now. Jim, you worked in law enforcement. You know, I can't imagine what it's like to go to a campus and see all these kids running for their lives, scared, and then realize that the person doing this has a connection to the police department.
Yeah, no, it's horrible. You know, I was a Florida Sheriff's deputy, and I know Sheriff Walter McNeil personally. And his department's going to go through a lot of agony over this because the shooter used, one of the deputies' personal firearms that used to be a department gun. But it just goes to show, that police officers are not immune from, the trials and tribulations and agony and angst of a young person who thinks that picking up a gun and committing cold-blooded murder is the answer to some stress they have, some belief they've concocted in their mind, or some reason. And, you have to lock your guns up. I mean, the worst thing you can hear from parents is, oh, I trust my son, I trust my daughter because I've shot with them or whatever. That's going to be a recipe for tragedy.
Jim Kavanaugh, we thank you for that. If you are just tuning to our coverage, we are continuing to follow this shooting situation, a school shooting at Florida State University on the campus. The shooter has been taken down. He's been taken into custody. 2 people are dead. At least 6 people are injured. We think some of those are students. We're going to stay following this. That concludes this NBC News special report. We're going to have much more coverage on our streaming network, and I'll see you later on Nightly News. I'm Tom Llamas. We thank you for watching.